Tonight, all eyes are on one house in a Florida neighborhood.
Arrest Brian! Arrest Brian! Where's Gabby? Where's Gabby?
What is it? What's going on? Why won't he come out of the house?
The disappearance of 22-year-old Gabby Petito. Northport police say they have still not been able to interview her fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
They did speak to Brian Laundrie's sister, but she gave no useful information.
I haven't been able to talk to him.
We're just pleading with him at this point to please speak with us.
My gut tells me that something bad happened.
Grant County Sheriff's Office.
Were you able to get a description of the intoxication?
Hi, can you hear me, sir? Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with the white van, Florida license plate, white van, gentleman,
Where's it at?
5'6" beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
Or what were they doing?
Cooperative, but what'd you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by, and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito.
Just within the last 2 minutes, this story has taken a very, very strange and dramatic turn. Police do not know where Brian Laundrie is right now.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
I think our plan for today is to just hang out here in the tent. Brian's stretching, doing some morning yoga.
Driver is showing some obscure driving, possibly intoxicated. Zone through here is 25. Oh! Subject just hit the curb.
What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday, and camping got the stuff, flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving. I'm sorry.
You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and
okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean. We'd have been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
Told me I needed to calm down. Yeah, but I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time.
I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push your weight. Gabby, this is a very, very important question. How you answer this question is going to determine what happens next. I'm recording, and society and the judges and everyone can judge me for this. I am looking at a 110-pound female and her fiancé who have no means to be separated. If they don't let it go off and we hear about it, we'll hear about it.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel.
This video is actually sponsored. It's sponsored by Warby Parker. Warby Parker is committed to providing exceptional vision care online and in stores, offering eyeglasses, sunglasses, eye exams, and contact lenses. You go online, you take this quiz. It's actually fun, easy, and then they start recommending you glasses. For the kind of glasses that they're pretty affordable. They start at $95. These types of glasses can be way more than that. This is the rose gold with the little tortoise thing edge. Hello. Oh my God, I love, you know what I feel like? I feel very 70s. I got these. What do you think of? Ooh, I don't, maybe not. Honestly, I love sunglasses. Ooh, I like the, ooh, I feel so cool with these. So if you like what you see and you want to try Warby Parker's free home try-on program, you order 5 pairs of glasses to try at home for free for 5 days. 5 for 5. There's no obligation to buy, ships free, and includes a prepaid return shipping label at warbyparker.com/NOOR. warbyparker.com/NOOR, as in Noor, my name. Thank you guys for sitting through this, and thank you to Warby Parker for sponsoring this video. Today I want to talk about Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Now, unfortunately, they found Gabby's remains today. They found the remains, they matched the description. They're in the area where she was last seen in Grand Teton in Spread Creek Road. Brian is still missing. Who knows, by the time this video goes up, Brian might be found, hopefully, dead or alive. Gabby Petito was an influencer slash YouTuber. She was trying to be a van life YouTuber. She only had one video at the time of her disappearance, but she was much more active on Instagram, and she was trying to build this career while going cross country with her boyfriend, her slash fiancé. That's something we'll talk about too. Everything seemed okay. I mean, we didn't know anything until the family reported her missing, because the boyfriend slash fiancé had come back, Brian, with the van, but without Gabby, and then he wasn't even saying anything, and he was like ignoring them, and so they were freaking out, and then he lawyered up, and everyone thinks he has something to do with it, and so this case, it has exploded, which is interesting how certain cases take off and others don't. I mean, that's a whole different topic. There's a lot of information out there as of now, and I thought the best way to do this would be to give you all the suspicious things in the context of the timeline so that we can follow along and make sense of it. So that's what I'm going to do. So there are 3 major locations in this case. You've got Blue Point, Long Island, New York, which is Brian and Gabby's hometown. Then you have Northport, Florida. That's where Brian's parents now live and where Brian went after the road trip mysteriously ended. And then the third general area is like the Grand Teton, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, like on the road area where Gabby was last seen. And so we're going to be talking about those 3 areas. To understand the current situation, you need to understand Gabby and Brian's relationship. Gabby and Brian have known each other for a very, very long time. They've actually known each other since high school, since the start of high school, because both of them went to the same high school. Now, I found conflicting reports. Some articles said that they were high school sweethearts. Others were saying that they were more like friends, like Brian was kind of friend zoned through high school, and then they like graduated, they got back in touch, and supposedly that's when the relationship started. This is according to Gabby's mom. According to Brian himself, he said that they were friends in high school.
How long you guys been together? I would say, well, we've known each other since the start of high school. But in our relationship, it's been 3 years. Wow.
So according to Gabby's Instagram, they celebrated their 1-year anniversary on March 17, 2020. There's a post that she posted that says, 1 whole year's worth of adventures and stories down, a lifetime to go. So if she posted this 1-year anniversary celebration March 17, 2020, we can assume they were officially dating March 17, 2019, although that's just a guess. According to Gabby's parents, she moved in with him and his family in Florida in 2019. So once Gabby moved to Florida to be with Brian, she made a friend. She apparently didn't have any friends, and so she went online and she met her friend Rose.
Roughly 2 years ago, I got a message on Bumble from her friend. It was, you seem so cool, I want to be your friend, can we be friends? And I was like, of course.
According to Rose, Brian had some issues called episodes, and he was jealous and controlling and possessive. She says he's got these jealousy issues and he struggles from what Gabby calls these, quote, episodes, where he would hear things and hear voices and wouldn't sleep. He had this composure as a sweet, nice, caring guy, but you could tell he's a little off, a little weird. Like he'd set up our hammocks when we'd go to the beach, but he wouldn't sit with us, which I found bizarre. Brian has a jealousy issue. I'm her only friend in Florida to my knowledge, and that's not because she can't make friends. He just didn't want her to have friends. According to Rose, her and Gabby would share each other's location with this app on their iPhones, quote, in case we got lost, which is very ominous foreshadowing. But according to Rose, when Brian found out about this, he made Gabby delete it. Quote, I didn't push the issue because I didn't want it to cause an argument with him. He was always worried she was going to leave him. This is important. I think, my conspiracy, allegedly, don't sue me. I think she was going to leave him, and his fear of her leaving him could be a factor here, but let's get to the quotes. He'd demand she be home for dinner, often cut our time short. He'd demand to pick her up from my house, even when I had a car and offered to drive. She said that she was going to go line dancing. She invited Gabby.
Well, we were supposed to go line dancing. It was ladies' night. And her drive is about 30 minutes to me. And halfway there, she realized her ID was missing. And so it caused a really big argument because Brian just didn't want her to go out. It was a jealousy issue. It caused a huge argument between them. And she came over and cried and just talked to me about what happened.
She was so hysterical. She told me she slapped him and said something about him pushing her. She was holding back. I told her, you need to tell me the deep of what happened, and she just wouldn't.
It just seemed like there was more and more arguments, and everything she did, I feel like, he thought was wrong.
And then Brian proposed to Gabby, and Gabby said yes. This was all posted on their Instagrams. Gabby already had an Instagram for a few years that she would post on here and there, and this was another one of her posts announcing it, and they both posted the same picture on the same day with different captions announcing that they were engaged. The one that Gabby posted, she said, here's a picture from our first date because I have so much love for you. Brian asked me to marry him and I said yes. This post on Brian's Instagram was actually his first post. And I think this is also important to mention because it shows that they had different approaches to social media, which is another issue, I think, in their relationship. You see, the thing is that it was Gabby who wanted the social media fame. It was Gabby who wanted to be an influencer and a van lifer and not just travel and enjoy these experiences, but make a career out of it, monetize it, show it to the world. That was important to her. And it seems like, she was always filming them, and it did seem a little bit, I don't know if I want to say forced or staged. A lot of the camping setups were very elaborate and clean and organized. And, she did say she has OCD and she's very meticulous and everything like that. So, you could see that their approaches to the situation were a little different. Gabby, quote, never goes outside.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
Whereas Brian is the one who was the artist who hiked barefoot and read books and was very, of the earth nature type. Not Gabby never goes outside. No, not at all. Brian always outside. One of the authors that comes up a lot in his posts that he talks about, that he takes pictures of, was books by the author Chuck Palahniuk, I think. I watched several videos on how to pronounce it, and there are a lot of different ones, but this one seemed the most common one. Palahniuk. Some people say Palahniuk, I don't know. Palahniuk. You guys know I can't say anybody's name correctly, barely even my own. Although this author is most famous for his book Fight Club, which was turned into the super famous movie. I'm sure you've heard of it.
First rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
The ones that Brian seemed to really, really enjoy and talk about were the ones about killers. A killer on the road. It was very kind of sort of similar to the situation they were in. A little bit creepy. I could be reading too much into it. The effing craziest out of all Chuck's books on my shelf. I can't fathom how he must have written this one. I'd love to preach all of the insane twists and turns, but all I can say is that I'll never forget the name Rand Casey or Green Taylor Sims. Me and my fiance read this one out loud together, and boy, oh boy, I can't believe some of the stuff coming out of our mouths. Gabby also read these books. There's pictures of her with Lullaby and Fight Club. She talks about liking a morbid podcast. So they were into this kind of stuff, which, I mean, hello, we all are. I am, you are watching this. We're all into true crime and murder and serial killers and all that. So does that mean anything in particular? No. I don't want to say it's like, oh my God, red flag, but it's like, suspicious. So anyway, back to Gabby and Brian's relationship. They canceled their engagement. And not only did they call off their engagement, but it seems like they called off their engagement to some people, but then they were still saying they were engaged around other people. So according to Gabby's mom, the engagement was called off. She said that Gabby and Brian had been engaged but decided to call it off and go back to just dating because they felt they were too young for marriage. I think they kind of put it on hold because they felt like it was a little fast. They were excited at first, but then they were like, let's just wait. We're very young. So they were really just boyfriend and girlfriend. Maybe the relationship wasn't what I thought. Rose, Gabby's friend, she also said that she was trying to get her to reconsider the engagement. Quote, I told her you're young and Brian is a little controlling for her, but I also told her to do what makes you happy and I'm here to support you. She also said her friends from New York were bullying her when she got with Brian. It was something about Brian that they didn't like her being with. She was upset about it once. I went through it with her and was like, screw them. She also said that while Gabby told her mom that they called off the engagement, she was telling other people in her day-to-day life that she was engaged with Brian. So I don't know if it was like she was trying to please everyone and tell them what they wanted to hear. That's kind of what my gut is telling me, but I have no evidence of that. Even though they called off their engagement, they were still together. And exactly 1 year from the post they made announcing their engagement, literally 1 year later is when they started their road trip, July 2nd to July 2nd. They leave July 2nd. July 4th, Gabby posts on her Instagram that they are in Monument Rock, and it's a beautiful picture, and they're talking about downsizing and their fun little adventure that they're going on. Throughout the next days in July, up until July 22nd, they're posting that they're going to Colorado, and then they're going to the sand dunes and different sites. They get to Utah, they're in Zion National Park, they go to Bryce Canyon. And then there's an interesting post. It's July 23rd. It's on Brian's Instagram, and they're in Utah, and he mentions that he thanks Gabby for, quote, putting up with me through Utah, a topographic playground. And then a few days later, Gabby posts a picture of her kissing Brian, and it seems like they're having this wonderful, amazing time in Utah, except they're not. Because a few weeks after these lovey-dovey posts, something happens in Utah. Something bad.
You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him. I just like, I guess my vibe is like I am really like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I used to work at an all-organic juice bar, but I just quit my job.
Okay.
I was a nutritionist. That was my job.
Cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I just have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed, and he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like a, I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know, we've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time, and he really stresses me out, and this is a rough morning.
But if you were following Gabby on social media and Brian, you would never know, because on the 12th, Gabby posted, and then on the 13th, Brian posted, and they were both posting the arches and Utah and leaving captions that would not at all tell you that something was going on, like what had happened. And that is kind of a recurring theme here, where what you see is not at all what it is, especially when it comes to Gabby and Brian's relationship. This is what happened the day of the body cam footage. They went to a co-op, Moonflower CoOp in Utah. At this co-op, somebody witnesses them getting into a fight. They witness them fighting over a cell phone. They witness Gabby striking Brian in the face. They witness Brian appearing to push her. And then they also, from what they see, it looks like Gabby's locked out of the van and she's trying to get in. And she attempts to get in through the driver's side window. And there's all these yelling and loudness and aggression, and so they call 911. They think there's some sort of domestic. Police arrive, but by the time they get there, Brian and Gabby have left in their van. So now they have like a cop following them, which they find them on the road and they proceed to pull them over.
Driver is showing some obscure driving, possibly intoxicated. Currently doing 45 miles an hour. Zone through here is 25. Oh! Subject just hit the curb. Correction, speed limit is 15. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday and camping got the stuff, flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving, I'm sorry.
What's that?
You talked to Gabby already?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So, you want to do me a favor? Let's go ahead and get you to step out of the vehicle, alrighty?
I had her phone and was trying to get the keys from her, so I got in the way. I was just trying to, I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go, let's just take a minute, step back and breathe.
Quick question, you said you were hitting him in the arm. Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
I didn't touch the steering wheel, but only for like a second, because I just saw the lights come on, and it was more just like, you're an idiot, like, you know.
But did you grab the steering wheel and like swerve or anything like that?
No.
It was, I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't change being dirty. Like I got dirty feet, I got sand on my flip-flops and stuff like that. It was that we were at the coffee shop for so long because we were there from 9 to 3. So yeah, there's a few little things, little relationships. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but I'm sure you
I've been married for over 5 years now. So.
There's a lot of little things. Right?
Yeah, I can go.
And
I get it.
We really we weren't physical before the point where I said, all right, let's just take a breather and like walk away for a minute. I'll lock the van up and I'll go for a walk this way, and you can go walk that way in the block. You know, there's that what is it called, Moonflower?
Right,
yeah. Nice areas. You can go either way. It's all shaded. So let's go for a little walk and breather, come back. Cause we're happy with it. But she just, I'm not upset with her. She got worked up and she had a phone in her hand and the keys and everything. And she wanted, not her keys, her rings, her phone. And I was holding on to the keys because I didn't want to go anywhere. And my big fear is, I don't have my phone. I don't have a phone. So she goes off without me. With a car, I'm on my own. I didn't get overtly physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit. And then I got really loud, and like that's probably everyone's attention where I was going, back up, get away, just give me a...
Now there are a few suspicious things that happen during this incident. The first thing is what Gabby says about Brian. She says that he's a downer, that he doesn't believe in her dreams, and that he was trying to like leave her and keep her out of the car. So due to what witnesses said and what Gabby said about, punching him in the arm and the scratches on Brian's face and all the information they gathered, they determined that it was actually Gabby who was the aggressor in the situation and that Brian was the victim. And when they tell Brian that, he starts laughing.
The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. And even if you...
It could just be that, he's relieved. He thought he was going to be in trouble. And then he's like not in trouble. And so he's like really, really happy. I mean, we've all been there. Also, it could be seen as like duper's delight. What ends up happening is police don't want to arrest Gabby.
No, I don't want to take this small 20, what is she? 22-year-old blonde hair.
So after discussing it, they decide they're not going to charge Gabby with anything.
I've decided I am not going to cite you for domestic violence battery, okay? It was only going to be a Class B misdemeanor. However, the domestic violence portion of it enhances it. Makes life a major pain in the butt, especially at you're 22, right? So I'm choosing not to cite you today. So you are not going to be charged with it.
They're just going to like categorize it as a mental break, that she never really was able to compose herself, that she was always crying or breathing heavily and couldn't compose a sentence without needing to wipe away tears, wipe her nose, or rub her knees with her hands. During this incident, we find out that Gabby and Brian both say they have anxiety. They don't take medicine for it. He makes a joke saying that she's crazy.
You don't take any medications or anything like that? Yeah, do you know if she takes any?
She's crazy. No, I don't think so.
And so it was kind of like this scuffle that happened because of her manic state and not any type of like violence that was intended to hurt the other. And that was the loophole.
He doesn't want to pursue it. She's not a threat to him, more than slight abrasions from her fingernails. I don't care if we use the actual letter of the law to not charge. If they don't let it go off and we hear about it, we'll hear about it.
So it ended with Gabby being free and having possession of the van, and because they wanted to separate them and not have them leave together to have like a cooling off moment, they decided to put Brian at a shelter, seek haven.
Tyson?
Yep.
Officer Robbins, Phil called for me.
He did, yes.
This is Brian Laundrie.
All right. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything.
No problem. It's nice to meet you, Brian.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good one.
And then he would do some paperwork so that the no contact order would be lifted. They could go back together in the car and everything would be fine. The day after this all happens, right? Brian posts on Instagram. He has a picture of the arches that they were at, and the caption says something like, "Humans are primates, grape apes in fact." And he talks about, you know, our culture and society and how humans think they're better, but they're really destructive, and their economic practices and breathable air and drinkable water. And like, that's the thing with Brian. He's really, really into the environment, even during this incident when it was really hot. And clearly they wanted water. They were trying to get water when this whole thing happened.
We're just going into the park again to get water because we have a 6-gallon water container to fill up, so we're just grabbing water for the hike.
So they needed water. Gabby asked for water.
Do you have any water?
I will see if I can find some.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
She drank it, plastic bottles and all, but Brian refused the water repeatedly.
It's okay.
Do you need any water?
It's okay.
It's hot out here.
We were going to get water because we ran out, but it's okay. No, it's alright. I don't like plastic bottles. It's okay. Thank you, though.
Because he doesn't believe in plastic bottles. So that tells me that he's very, in his mind, principled and rigid in his beliefs. Another thing that really came up here as a suspicious thing that has been debunked is the connection between this case and another case that happened where I think it was Kylan and Crystal. They're a couple who were in the area. One of the women, I think Crystal, she worked at the same co-op where the incident took place with Gabby and Brian, and then they were complaining about a creepy guy. Then they were found shot not soon after, and people were starting to think, oh my god, is Brian the creepy guy? Is he like a serial killer? Did he like kill them too and kill, you know, Gabby all around the same time? And according to police, no. They made a very short statement where they basically said, quote, "It has been determined that the Gabby Petito missing persons case is not related to the double homicide case involving Crystal Turner and Kylan Schultz." And that's it. Back to this whole facade of Brian and Gabby's relationship. Because a week after this incident happened, they posted their first YouTube video.
Looking to steal some of his granola. All the chocolate melted.
I know, it's a river of chocolate.
Be cautious.
You can't keep chocolate in Utah. Not in July. Or in a clear plastic container
Yeah.
that is always in the sun.
I was in the tent this morning, I think that's why.
I love the band.
So, we are right outside Capitol Reef right now in a free dispersed camp spot, and we've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed, but I'd say this is one of the best so far. Since we left New York, I've only set up my hammock once, and now we're all the way in Utah, and luckily enough I was able to set up my hammock in one of these trees.
And we're kind of like in the desert.
Very few trees.
She posted it on the 19th, right? I don't think she survived more than 10 days after this video went live. Because this is where things start to take a turn and everything happens really quickly. The video goes live on the 19th. They had their incident on the 12th and it bled into the 13th. So within that week, you know, she was probably editing the video, putting it together, filming it, editing it, whatever, and publishing it. Shortly thereafter, they go and stay at a hotel. Now, there's a handwritten note that is from Gabby's uncle, her maternal uncle. And he is claiming that on August 17th to the 23rd, Brian went to Florida. Then I found another article where Gabby's mom talks about this, and she says that he went back to Florida to put Gabby's stuff in a storage unit with his dad, which is strange, suspicious. Why? Like, are they talking about breaking up? And Gabby's mom says she's also questioning Brian's trip back to Florida in August to help his father move their things into a storage unit. She wonders why it was necessary to move Gabby's things during their road trip and what became of her stuff. Where are her things, she asked. And then during this time, she's in a hotel. There's like no Wi-Fi, so her dad helps her and orders pizza for her.
I'd send her money, you know. I spoke to her on the 21st. I sent her food. Not that she needed it and stuff, but just make sure she had it, you know. I last FaceTimed her on August 21st, yes. She was having connection issues with ordering food, so I was like, I got you, no worries. I actually ordered a Domino's. She was in Salt Lake City, Utah.
I understand that she checked out of that hotel on the 25th.
No, I believe it was the 24th.
The uncle says that Brian was gone from the 17th to the 23rd. And so during this time, Gabby's at a hotel in Salt Lake City, Utah. According to her dad, when he spoke to her and FaceTime with her and got her the Domino's, at that time, she seemed fine to him. That same day that the pizza was ordered, somebody at a convenience store nearby says that they remember Gabby and Brian being at the store. It was the Kick 66 convenience store located down the street from the hotel, which was the Fairfield Inn. And the cashier said they came in together on the night of August 21st. I remember them because he was telling her to hurry up. She didn't say anything back to him. At one point, she left the store for a few minutes and came back in. They bought bottles of water, a few packages of instant noodles, and donuts. The cashier also pointed that this is very close to the FBI headquarters and that there should have been camera footage of them and their vehicle coming and going in the area because there was a lot of cameras around the FBI headquarters. So going with what Gabby's uncle said, that he left from the 17th to the 23rd, how would he be seen with Gabby on the 21st if he was gone? That's a little bit weird. Also, if he came back on the 23rd, it does make sense that they would then check out on the 24th because maybe she was in the hotel while he was taking the van because she didn't have shelter without the van. So I don't know if the August 21st sighting is accurate or if he left on the 21st. I don't know. But these are the dates that I was able to find, but it does seem a little inconsistent. Then we have August 25th. August 25th is the last time anyone saw Gabby alive in terms of like a FaceTime call. There were some texts and stuff that happened, but we'll get into that later. On August 25th, Gabby's family speak to her and she tells them she's in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. There's witnesses who spotted their van on that day in that area, in Jenny Lake to be more specific. The witness says, without a doubt, on my husband's life, I know for a fact that was their van. That is also the day, August 25th, that Gabby posts her final Instagram post. There's another witness who sees them this day too. Somebody sees Gabby and Brian in Victor, Idaho, in a place called Rustic Row. The owner of the store, they said, quote, Brian and Gabby came to Rustic Row. They told me they were traveling from Florida. They had just been to Teton Park and they said they were interested in going to Yellowstone. And I told them they could go to the west entrance. They seemed happy, and when they left, she hollered back from the door that they were engaged, and then I said, congratulations. She said that she reported this to the FBI and she's not sure, but she thinks it was either August 25th or August 26th in the evening when this happened. August 27th, according to the timeline from the uncle, Gabby tells a friend through Snapchat that she's going to Yellowstone. And that was also the same day that Gabby's van was spotted in Spread Creek in Grand Teton, Wyoming. Now we know now that this is also where her remains were found. And this is August 27th. And this is why online I've been seeing a lot of people saying that they think that whatever happened to Gabby happened late on the 27th or the 28th of August. The reason why people think this is because the first thing that Gabby missed, that she, like a commitment that she missed, a sign that she was missing, happened on the 29th. On the 29th, she misses a call to her supposedly close friend, Rose. It was Rose's birthday. They were supposed to speak that day and make plans. So when the 29th rolled around and Rose didn't hear from Gabby, she was kind of like, that's really strange. The thing that's pushing this something happened on August 29th theory, I meant to say the 28th, is that famous TikTok that's been going all around.
Hi, my name is Miranda Baker, and on August 29th, my boyfriend and I picked up Brian at Grand Teton National Park at 5:30 at night at Coulter Bay. My boyfriend and I have been in contact with a bunch of different people to help. He approached us asking us for a ride because he needed to go to Jackson. So I said, hop in. He hopped in the back of my Jeep. Before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride, like 10 miles. That was kind of weird. He then told us he's been camping for multiple days without his fiancé and that she was working on their social media page back at their van.
She added, then once in conversation, I brought up we're going to Jackson, and he freaked out. He's like, nope, I need to get out right now, pull over. She said that her and her boyfriend pulled over at Jackson Dam, which is close to Coulter Bay. We dropped him off at 6:09 p.m. on August 29th. He kind of hurried out of the car and then was like, I'm just going to find someone else to go hitchhike. And we were like, okay. It was a weird situation. So when we picked him up, he was wearing a backpack, a long sleeve, pants, hiking boots, and he had scruff, but he didn't look dirty. So that's the suspicious thing people are talking about, is what was really going on August 29th? Why was he alone? Why was he hiking and not with the van? Why wasn't he with Gabby? Where was Gabby? He says she was back at the van. Maybe she was. Maybe he was, people are like, was he burying her at that time? Like, why wasn't he dirty? If he was burying her, wouldn't he be dirty? Like, what was going on? We won't really know until we find out more details about the way her body was found and if it was a grave or not, if it was shallow grave. Maybe he brought a change of clothes. I don't know. These are all things that are adding to the theory that maybe something happened to her on the 28th and he was trying to get rid of her body on the 29th. And then on the 30th, is the last contact that came from Gabby's phone, and people don't think it was even Gabby who sent that message. And that message on the 30th was sent from Gabby's phone to her mom saying, no service in Yosemite. So this is the weird thing. Yosemite is in California. It's like 800 miles away from where they're supposed to be. Yellowstone is where they were supposed to go after they left Grand Teton. So was it like a weird typo or a mistake? Was someone else sending that message? It's very strange. And then, according to Rose, it's odd to her that Gabby would send that message to her mom on the 30th before she would actually call Rose and tell her happy birthday. The other strange thing is that when Gabby wouldn't have service, and then when she would then get service back, she wouldn't text and say no service in this location. She would call as soon as she had service, and she would tell them, okay, I'm here. I didn't have service there. Now I have service. So the fact that she didn't call, sent a text, and it didn't even sound like her, after that no service in Yosemite text, nobody heard from Gabby at all. So what happened on August 28th? Why did Gabby not call her really close friend on her birthday on the 29th like she was supposed to? Why didn't she call her mom on the 30th to say I have service now if she really didn't have service? Everything starts getting weird with Gabby's communications, and nobody can find her, talk to her, see her after the 27th. The next thing we know, Brian turns up September 1st in Florida. And from that area to where he ended up in Florida, the latest he could have left if he was driving nonstop is August 30th. This is when people started noticing something weird on the Instagram. Gabby's Instagram captions and posts seemed different than usual. Then there were certain posts that seemed to be edited. And they were starting to wonder if Brian was posting as Gabby to throw people off. So here are some of the things that were a little bit strange according to people who were following Gabby's Instagram. Gabby had a certain way of writing captions. They were usually very short and a little emoji at the end. It was just little quotes, you know, it'd be like sunshine or in the mood or, you know, whatever, like little phrases. Brian, on the other hand, his captions are quite long and rambly, and they've been like that since he started. So when Gabby's captions started to look very much like Brian's captions, people were like, that's suspicious. Then there were two in particular that really caught people's eye. One was Gabby like tagging him repeatedly in a caption and praising him and his barefoot hiking and his feet, and just it seemed very like ego stroking. It says, Brian hikes barefoot everywhere we go. If it were up to him, he wouldn't own any shoes. But I just find it funny how many people comment on the fact that he is barefoot. As soon as we reached the end of this easy walk, I kicked off my @Sanook, and this woman who seemed very concerned asked me if the crust was hot. I was in such a different mindset that this question fazed me. Even if it was boiling lava, I was just so happy to be there that I didn't think about the sun. Surprisingly enough, the rocks here were cold. And she also says here, we always love surpassing people on our hikes, hearing them say things like, whoa, look, he's barefoot. Bizarre design inspires me every day on living a more natural lifestyle, building my feet up so I don't have to bring my shoes in case. #walk barefoot. Wow. What a wonderful post about him. Then they were talking about how her hashtags were different. How usually her hashtags were in the post, but now the hashtags were in the comments, and that this is something that Brian did on his page. Then there was this weird post that almost sounded like an alibi. Like, let me read it to you, okay? This post was on August 12th. This is a post the day of the incident. While Bizarre Design climbed down some steep slopes with the camera, I shimmied my way along a thin, flat, narrow line that led directly to a big flat rock with the absolute most beautiful. Many people who spotted us were contemplating how we made it here, shouting things like, wow, you guys must be crazy. One guy started to come our direction, taking the same thin, narrow way along the road as I did, and he got stuck in fear of not knowing where to put his feet to climb out. Bizarre Design and I helped him climb back to his wife, who was laughing hysterically, giving us a big thumbs up. In the last few photos, you can see what I meant by the thin, narrow line. There was no path to the flat rock that sat perfectly level out of the steep, angled side of what's basically a cliff, so I do not recommend trying this by yourself. Rock climbing is dangerous. That guy we had to help off the edge whacked me with his walking stick while I was helping him back up. We are athletic and very experienced hikers and have high confidence for rock climbing. Do not try this at home. One person says, if this caption doesn't scream alibi, I don't know what does. He wrote this shit. So people were like, this seems like a weird alibi. Like, we do dangerous hiking. Oh, I was on this thin thing, like I almost fell. Like, he whacked me with thing, like almost as if maybe if something were to be discovered, like maybe her remains, and he was then confronted with the situation, he could say, you know, it was like a really dangerous hike. She fell. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I thought I would get in trouble. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Then is the other suspicious thing, which is the financials. Why did he offer them $200 for a 10-mile ride? Where did he get that $200 from? In the body cam footage, when the police asked him if he could afford a hotel, he didn't really answer.
So tell me this. Do you guys have enough money for like a hotel room or anything like that? Because what we could do is we'd cite her for this, and then I'd give her a ride over to whatever hotel you guys is choosing.
Pick up there tomorrow if you
And
want
you-
up to know what
On your way to go pick her up, you stop over there at the PD, sign the paperwork that they're requesting, and then you can go pick her up quite literally within minutes.
Unless you know someone else in town that's a friend that you can stay with.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately not. I don't, and I guess that, man, I sure hate to, I don't want her to go to jail. Will it be, if she goes to jail, it's like, that goes down somewhere?
You think you can't afford a hotel?
No, very little money we have, for sure.
Her mom said that they had to help them several times with money. The dad got her pizza and said that she would need money, that, you know, it's not like they really, really needed it, but from time to time they would ask for money. There's also something I heard, but I couldn't confirm it 100%, that he used her debit card to purchase gas when he was going back to Florida when he got there on September 1st. So did he have access to Gabby's money and was using it after he did something to her? You tell me. What happens after that is he lawyers up. He doesn't talk to the parents. As a matter of fact, the next suspicious thing that happens is that he ignores, and his mother, both he and his mother ignore Gabby's parents' requests for information about where Gabby is. According to Gabby's mom, 3 days later, on September 14th, several things happen. First, the lawyer for Brian puts out a statement, and he's like, I have advised him not to speak on advice of counsel because the spouse or significant other is always the first suspect when someone goes missing, and anything you say can and will be used against you. So I'm advising him to stay silent. We'll be in the background. We wish the Petitos nothing but the best. And then the family, Gabby's parents, they release a statement where they're like, you know, that you should be ashamed. You guys need to have some decency, say something. And we will find out later, but it was actually on this day that Brian went on the run. And his parents knew and didn't tell anyone until days later when cops showed up at their house. The most suspicious thing is Brian being declared a person of interest in the disappearance of Gabby. And that is when this mob starts to form online and in person. They start showing up at the Laundrie's home. And, where's Gabby?
Where's Gabby? Where's Gabby?
The media's there. The people are there. The cops are there. They're searching. They're taking evidence bags. The whole country is watching. And then late at night, we find out nobody knows where Brian is right now.
Police do not know where Brian Laundrie is right now.
Brian's lawyer comes out and he says, we can't find him. He's missing. He was last seen wearing a backpack with a waist strap. So it looks like he's going to go and hide in the wilderness. We then find out that on the 14th, Tuesday, Brian's parents picked up the Ford Mustang from this area, this wilderness area where they're now searching for Brian. That's not too far from his home that he's experienced in.
Saying they discovered a note on Brian's car in the preserve when they initially went to look for him on Wednesday. Then they left the car so he could drive back. When Brian did not come home Thursday morning, the parents say they went to retrieve his car. Many more questions than answers tonight.
So, I mean, the parents knew that he was leaving. I mean, wow, I guess unconditional love really is unconditional. According to police, somebody who's experienced with camping, which they clearly are, could live in this area of wilderness for months. So as of now, these are the suspicious things that I've found about Brian, as well as the timeline that I kind of like interjected and put together with you guys. I'm thinking of doing like, because there are a lot of cases that have updates that I feel like I want to do and that you guys asked me about. So I'm thinking of doing like a thing where a series called The Plot Thickens, where I just do case updates. Like, I don't know. It's just an idea that I have. I might do it, I might not. I have a lot of ideas that I never do. But that is all I have for you guys. The only silver lining is that we know where Gabby is, that the parents can have some kind of closure, but it's still bad news and it sucks either way. Whatever happened was probably really, really bad. So, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that, you know, Gabby's the aggressor, or Gabby did something to herself, or it was an accident? Or do you think Brian is involved or someone else is involved? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.